In this episode, we talk about shooter Swapnil Kusale winning a bronze medal at the Paris Olympics. We also talk about how the National Archives is digitizing over 34 crore historical documents. But first, we talk about the turmoil within the Uttar Pradesh leadership after the results of the Lok Sabha polls. Hi, I'm Shashank Bhargava, and you're listening to Three Things, the Indian Express news show. One of the most surprising results of the Lok Sabha polls was the Samajwadi Party winning the most number of seats in Uttar Pradesh. Out of the 80 seats, it managed to win 43, while the BJP, which is currently in power in the state, only secured 36. And since then, the state leadership has been facing criticism from within the party. For example, both the deputy chief ministers have now spoken out against Yogi Adityanath, who has headed the state since 2017. In fact, there are murmurs that he might be moved out of the state by the central leadership. To know more about this, we are now joined by Indian Express's contributing editor and veteran journalist, Neerja Chowdhury. Neerja, you have been writing about the ongoing turmoil within the BJP in UP. Tell us, in what way do we see that taking place?
Look, Uttar Pradesh was one of those states that the BJP was pretty confident about in the just held elections to the Lok Sabha. It felt that it will be able to up its tally of 2019 of 62 Lok Sabha seats and take it up to 75. And they hoped that Uttar Pradesh would make up for the loss that they may suffer in some of the other Hindi heartland states where they had peaked in 2019. But that's not the way things turned out. UP became absolutely the pivot of the Lok Sabha elections and the reason for why the BJP lost its majority and came down to a overall tally of 240 Lok Sabha seats. Now, why did this happen? A lot of discussions have been held. Central Party has set up a committee. They've gone into the reasons for the defeat. Mr. Yogi Adityanath himself has had review meetings at the mandal level to go into what were the reasons why the party did not do so well. Now, there are various reasons for that, and different people have come to different conclusions. And it's also led to tensions between the BJP in Delhi and the BJP in Lucknow. And of course, there is a war out in the open between the Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath and his two deputies, Keshav Prasad Maurya and Brijesh Pathak. Now, that is a very interesting development. But, we had expected that the BJP, which is so good, which is so adept at course correction when things go wrong, would immediately get into the act, take the necessary corrective measures, and the dust would settle down. But the dust has really not settled down in Uttar Pradesh. Quite to the contrary, the factional war has come out in the open and it has drawn Delhi into this factional war also. So the Prime Minister has taken some remedial steps in recent days. Let's see how far they will work. But certainly Yogi Adityanath has been in the firing line from others in the party who blame him for the defeat that the BJP suffered in the country's largest state.
And what are some of the things that they are saying about him? What are the biggest criticisms against him?
Look, the biggest criticism against him, which the committee has also pointed to, and Keshav Prasad Maurya, his deputy, has also publicly criticized him for, that is that he moved through the bureaucracy. There was an over-reliance on the bureaucracy. We did not cooperate. And the chief minister ignored the organization and the ordinary karyakarta who did not get his or her due. And Keshav Prasad Maurya repeatedly said the organization is bigger than the government. Now, it is not possible for Keshav Prasad Maurya and some other senior leaders in the party to have come out with this kind of open and public criticism of the chief minister without some kind of support from powerful quarters in the BJP at the center. This is not the way the BJP functions, that you criticize the top and get away with it. So Yogi Adityanath also retaliated. For instance, some of the allies of the BJP also criticized the chief minister. There was Sanjay Nishad who criticized him for bulldozer politics. There was Anupriya Patel of the Apna Dal S, which is an ally, which also criticized the BJP for almost virtually de-reserving seats meant for the OBCs, for ignoring the OBCs. And of course, the Chief Minister retaliated very quickly. And he saw Apna Dal's rival, Apna Dal Ke, Pallavi Patel. And that Pallavi Patel had in 2022 was Vidhan Sabha elections in Uttar Pradesh, defeated Keshav Prasad Maurya. Otherwise, there was a good chance that he may have replaced Yogi Adityanath at that time. But because he lost that opportunity, was lost.
And Neerja, the other thing that happened this time was that the party lost a lot of its non-Yadav support base. A lot of them voted for the Samajwadi Party instead. Can you talk about that a bit and just how concerned the party is about it?
So the central leadership of the BJP is very conscious of the fact that this time round, they lost their supporters, OBC non-Yadav supporters who have stuck by the Prime Minister and the BJP in the last 10 years. Also Dalit supporters who have been with the BJP. And this thing that went viral, that 400 plus seats that the Prime Minister talked about, created fears in the Dalit community as well as the extremely backward communities, OBCs, that this may lead to a change in the constitution and do away with the reservation that the constitution guaranteed for them. Now, the BJP has to put correctives in place if it has to face the 2027 assembly election. And it will have to win back, particularly the Dalits and the EBCs, the extremely backward castes. How it's going to do that? There is a view that change the Chief Minister, have a change of guard in Lucknow, and put a EBC, OBC face there as the leader. Keshav Prasad Maurya has been considering himself, positioning himself and wanting that he should replace Yogi Adityanath. But, and this is a big, big but, it is easier said than done.
Right, and we'll talk about the challenges that the BJP will face if it decides to go that way. But do we know what Yogi Adityanath has to say about all this? How has he responded to these criticisms?
Look, Yogi Adityanath has believed to have told the RSS leadership and others in the party that his view on the tickets was not given due consideration. He was of the view that many of the sitting MPs should be replaced and changed because there was an anti-incumbency against the MPs. Now he says that hardly anybody that he suggested that to whom a ticket should be given was actually accommodated. So the central leadership had its way. And of course, his people say, why should Yogi be blamed when the election was fought on Prime Minister Modi's guarantees? And that was a central issue. Now, there are those amongst his opponents who feel that they don't say it publicly, but they feel and say it privately that they could have been sabotaged from within the party. They point to the fact that the Rajput community did not vote for the BJP as it has been doing in the past. In the initial phases, it sat at home. And in the latter phases, it voted against the BJP. And I myself, when I toured UP, met Rajputs who said that they felt if the national leadership of the BJP was strengthened, that Yogi Adityanath might be shunted out of Lucknow and brought to Delhi. So they were worried about this. They were afraid about this. And that is the reason why they did not vote for the BJP in the way. Now, all this should cause immense worry to the BJP because Uttar Pradesh is going to be central. What happens in the Vidhan Sabha elections in 2027 will determine the trajectory of what happens politically in 2029. So UP, they cannot afford to lose, but if they remove the CM, replace him, then that is also very problematic. If they keep him there, then that could also be very problematic.
And so, Neerja, what call has the central leadership taken at the moment? Because this kind of thing where members from within the party are speaking out against each other is not really common for the BJP.
So for the moment, the Prime Minister has let it be known to the two Deputy Chief Ministers that they should not make statements which violate discipline in the party. So for the moment, the Prime Minister may have bought some time, but they're waiting to see how the 10 by-elections that are due in Uttar Pradesh, though the Election Commission has not yet announced the schedule, that they want to wait and see how the party does and whether Yogi Adityanath can better the party's performance. So at the moment, the Samajwadi Party has 5 seats of those 10 and the BJP has 3. can Yogi Adityanath take the tally up to 7 seats when the by-polls are held? The leadership is also waiting to see how the BJP does in the 3 assembly elections that are due year-end: Maharashtra, Jharkhand and Haryana. If the party manages to win one, say a big state like, financially powerful state like Maharashtra, or win even 2, which they would hope for, then it would strengthen the High Command's hand to take risks in Uttar Pradesh. But many people believe it's not going to be possible. So the High Command may well go in for a strategy of circumscribing Yogi Adityanath's powers and compel him to share power with his deputies and work out some kind of a power-sharing formula and go in for 2027 elections under Yogi Adityanath's leadership. But there are powerful forces in the party that would like to replace him and possibly bring in an OBC face there, because they need to win back that chunk of its vote base.
Right, and you were mentioning that if the party decides to do that, it's not going to be easy, right? Because Yogi does have a cult-like following. He has an independent following outside of the BJP. So could you talk about the challenges the party will face if it decides to go with another chief minister?
Yes, because as I have written also, Yogi Adityanath is not a Shivraj Chauhan. Shivraj Chauhan is also a very experienced chief minister. And it's because of him the party won in Madhya Pradesh this time. Several times chief minister. He himself won his Lok Sabha seat by a whopping 8 lakh majority. And when the High Command told him they were not going to make him chief minister another time, he accepted it. And they moved him to Delhi, made him a union minister. He accepted it. Now, if that were to happen to Yogi Adityanath, would he take it so genially, so quietly, and do what the High Command wants? Many people think not. Yogi Adityanath's following, you're absolutely right, goes beyond the BJP. He has an independent following. He's popular. He's seen to have controlled the law and order situation, though he's known for his criticized for his bulldozer politics. And then, of course, he has an independent force, Hindu Vahini, that had become dormant in the last several years that he's been chief minister, but there are signs of it reviving again. So many people feel Yogi will not be able to do anything if he's shifted to Delhi or he just goes back to the mud. But there are others who feel he will not take the situation lying down, and it may just help the opposition, Samajwadi Party and the Congress combination. It may give them a fillip to come to power in 2027.
Right, and the party will have to take a call whether it's willing to take that risk, considering how crucial the state is. But tell us, does Yogi Adityanath have the support of the RSS? Does the Sangh back him?
Well, the RSS seems to be divided on Yogi Adityanath. There are people like Krishna Gopal, Bhaiyaji Joshi. These are the 2 names taken who support Yogi Adityanath. There are those people in the RSS who feel that Yogi, in the post-Modi phase of politics, Yogi is the natural successor, and that he will take the Hindutva agenda, the civilizational agenda of the RSS. The next step, he's the best place. Of course, Amit Shah has been acknowledged number 2, who virtually runs the government with Narendra Modi. So there is this issue of, who will be the number 2. And the RSS, but is divided. Some in the RSS see Yogi as an outsider who hasn't come up to the ranks of the Sangh and therefore could be independent of it. So the RSS is both divided and ambivalent on Yogi at the moment.
And next we talk about shooter Swapnil Kusale, who secured a bronze medal yesterday in the men's 50-meter rifle 3 positions final at the Paris Olympics. This marks India's first ever Olympic medal in the 50-meter 3P event and the 3rd in rifle shooting overall. So far, India has won 3 medals at the Paris Olympics, and all of them have come in shooting. Now, when we talk about the 50-meter rifle 3 position event, it is worth noting that it is known as the marathon of shooting. Unlike most other shooting events, a competitor takes aim in 3 different positions: kneeling, prone, and standing. And each position requires tweaks in the weapon and the attire. Swapnil, a 23-year-old from Kolhapur, works as a ticket collector in the Indian Railways and first got into shooting at the age of 14. When we spoke to Indian Express's Nitin Sharma, he told us more about Swapnil.
Yeah, like he belongs to a small village, Kambalwadi, in Kolhapur district in Maharashtra. And like he was sent to a residential school at the age of 10 in a school nearby Kolhapur. And from 4th to 8th standard, he studied in that residential school. And in 9th standard, he was chosen under a Maharashtra government scholarship scheme, which promotes the kids for sports. It's called Krida Probodhani scheme. And then he was initiated into shooting at Sangli as well as Nasik as well as Pune by the Maharashtra sports department's coaches. And he would shoot, with the rifle which he would share with the rest of the shooters in the government facility. So that's how he got into shooting. Initially, he was a 10-meter air rifle shooter, but then he shifted to .22 prone events around, we can say 2012-13. And that's how he got initiated into shooting.
Nitin says that it was in 2015 that Swapnil first came into the limelight. That year, he won gold both at the Asian Championships and the National Shooting Championship, where Gagan Narang, who won the bronze in the London Olympics, was also participating. Incidentally, this was also the year that he joined the Indian Railways as a ticket collector. Nitin says that Swapnil saved his first 6 months' salary to get his first rifle, which cost about 3 lakh rupees.
And then in 2017, when, he won the bronze in the Commonwealth Shooting Championships, so his father asked him, Gagan Narang rifle cost how much? And he told him 9 lakhs. And then his father gave him some of his savings and he saved his money from the salary of Indian Railways also to get a new rifle at a cost of more than 8 lakhs. That time, he was lurking around the Indian shooting team. He was into some different team events. But it was not before 2022 that he made it to the Cairo World Cup, ISSF Cairo World Cup, where he finished 4th to bag a Paris Olympic quota for India. So that's how he arrived on the shooting scene.
He says that in Paris, Swapnil had initially finished 7th in the qualifications, but was able to make it into the finals eventually.
And coming into the final, what helped him was he had an average opening series in kneeling and he was lurking around 5th spot. But then he made a recovery in the prone series, where he had a series of 52.7 and 52.2. And in the standing series again, he made sure that he didn't drop below. And then in the elimination stages, he kept his composure to get India showed of a historic medal. It's India's first in this event since the event started in Olympics in 1952. And he has become the 7th shooter. So even the parents, they were happy that, coming from a remote village near Kolhapur, he has won a medal, Olympic medal for India, perhaps in the toughest discipline. And the coach Dipali Deshpande, she was also happy for the fact that India has won a medal in one of the toughest events in Olympic shooting.
And in the end, we talk about the National Archives, the country's official record keeper since independence. The archives are located in the heart of the capital and serve as the repository for some of the most historic documents.
Which includes the British era records and pre-independence records, post-independence official documents, everything. And that's the only official record keeper of the country, as I would like to say.
That's Indian Express's Divya A.
So whatever is there is to be found nowhere else. So you can ascertain the importance of all the documents that are on those shelves.
She says there are a total of over 34 crore pages in the archives, and these include the rarest of rare documents.
Like the Gilgit manuscripts, which are made on the birch bark Bhojpatra, and the instrument of accession through which the princely states joined India around independence, and many other such records, the evolution of education in India through various records of the education department, foreign ministry records, Mahatma Gandhi's trial papers. So we have all the important landmark points of 250-year-old history of the country in that one building.
the archive is open to researchers and scholars who just have to put in a request about what exactly they're looking for.
And the record keepers will fetch that specific record for you, and then you can sit in the library. They have a library. That's the only place where scholars can sit and read. Now they even allow like a photocopy or in case the paper is not too damaged, like a photocopy or a scanned copy of the document, which has some nominal charges, but you're allowed to do that. But you have to also make sure that the paper is not damaged in the process. You don't write anything. You can't take it with you. So you have to essentially sit there, make your notes and return the paper and then go back.
Now, during the pandemic, when physical restrictions were in place, the archives also started an online portal where at least some of the documents were made available.
But having said that, scholars and researchers and students had a lot of problem accessing the records during those 2-3 years.
And this is what finally prompted the institution to start a full-fledged digitization process. All of those 34 crore documents are currently being prepared to be made available online.
This project began 3 years ago, but in the last 2-3 years, they were only able to put up 4 crore pages online, digitize it. And they figured that if they are going at this speed, it'll take about, 30 more years to put everything online for people to access. So now we see a massive scaling up of the exercise.
And Divya, could you talk about what this digitization process involves? Because you mentioned that a lot of these documents are in a very precarious state.
Yeah, like the officials were sharing with us some of the documents. In fact, their estimate was that maybe half the documents are in fragile state, are in some state of damage, and they had to do something. Digitization was also actually necessitated because they didn't want to give physical access to fragile papers to people, to fragile pages. So they wanted to just put it up online so that people can see things up online. But there's now a massive scaling up of the exercise which has happened, and conservation and digitization are going side by side. While the papers that are healthy, they are being scanned, digitized, put up online, indexed, whatever the procedure that they have, their standard operating procedure that they've set up. And also the papers, the pages that are in some state of damage or decay, that is also being, conserved and preserved side by side. Like you do for like an archaeological monument, you have to keep Taj Mahal. Similarly, you have to keep these papers healthy. So even if you digitize everything, the physical records are still to be preserved, conserved and kept at the archives building nonetheless.
And we understand that they've also had to hire more people for this process. Could you talk about what that involved?
So like we were just talking, that they figured that the speed at which they were going with the digitization process, it would have taken them 3 more decades, and by then more papers would have come anyway because it's a constant process. So they floated some tenders and they kind of got some external outsources to some agencies. So CBSL is the agency, is the private firm which has got these tenders for conservation and digitization both. On both the ends, youngsters are being trained, semi-skilled youngsters who maybe like class 12 pass, because as the Director General and other officials were sharing with us, you don't really need to be a very trained professional or to be able to digitize and conserve the pages. It is just like a repetitive job. So it's a skill set. You have to be trained for a few weeks. You learn it and then you practice it. So now they have got like around 200-300 youngsters on the campus working in 3 shifts, working 24/7, working to digitize these records. In fact, it's a good employment opportunity also for these youngsters because they're getting around 15,000 a month. And if you work at National Archives for that many years, you may also become employable in future. So that is also one thing which has happened, like a byproduct, but a good byproduct of this entire exercise.
And could you share some more examples from this process and the kind of tools that are being used?
So they have 3 stages of damage of a sheet. So if a sheet is like really very damaged, then you have to conserve it through this process. You have to paste it on another sheet of paper. If it's printed on both sides, then you can't paste it on a sheet of paper. Then you have to essentially laminate it using a special tissue paper which is being imported from Germany. And there is only 1 or 2 vendors who make this specific, very expensive tissue paper. So that also had to be scaled up, had to be procured at a mass scale. Then the scanners which are being used to digitize these records have to be special, and they are also imported from France and Germany. Around 50 such scanners are currently at the Delhi building. So the thing with these scanners is that they are overhead scanners. They don't have to essentially touch the paper at any stage or emit a light which can damage the pages.
And now that things have scaled up and they've hired more people, how long do they estimate this process will take?
Their idea is to finish it in the next 2 years, and that is the fastest they could think of. That is like the most efficient way if everything goes well as per their estimate. Right now, I think they are able to do around 6 lakh pages a day. So according to that, I think they say that they will be able to meet their target if all goes as per plan, if they continue to get the tissue paper supply and if, everything is there. So also to accommodate so many people on the campus, the National Archives also had to do a lot of housekeeping. As the officials were sharing with us, they had like rooms and rooms full of dead bodies of computers and monitors and air conditioners and whatnot. So now all these rooms are being repurposed to house these youngsters. Toilet blocks had to be created. Mobile toilets have also been moved in. There are new canteens. So it's a completely different place. Although the heritage part of the building, which is the old building, that cannot be touched. So that stays the way it is. But the new wing has seen a lot of new activity and a lot of buzz.
You were listening to 3 Things by the Indian Express. Today's show was written and produced by me, Shashank Bhargava, and was edited and mixed by Suresh Pawar. If you like the show, then do subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. You can also recommend the show to someone you think will like it, share it with a friend or someone in your family. It's the best way for people to get to know about us. You can tweet us at Express Podcasts and write to us at podcasts@indianexpress.com.